On the 25th of June, me and Mayke had our third conversation about hope. Mayke had a dream about a hope wheel, which sounds like a lovely idea. Imagine when you leave this earth, you leave a will filled with all of your hopes. It's sweet. So we talk about that. We talk about hope. And one of the things that Mayke hopes for is a world filled with intimacy, and how intimacy has kind of gotten, she doesn't say hijacked or kidnapped, I say that. It's almost been hijacked by sex. It's like, that's what intimacy means, but intimacy is so much more. So join us for an intimate hour and a half, or whatever it is, and enjoy.
You are in red.
I am in red. I'm wearing my Game of Thrones poncho, which is probably the piece of clothing I have worn the most ever since it was finished in September last year, 2020. Yeah, September, October. And it's still, it's summer, but it's cloudy today. It's a little bit cooler, and I have short sleeves under. So this just, it's just perfect. So it works summer and winter.
Oh, wow.
And fall and spring. So yeah, it's my favorite piece of clothing. It's funny that. So how are you today, Mayke?
I'm good. And right now, physically a bit struggling to sit straight at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Rather lying down?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So I thought, to balance it, maybe I can use some lipstick. So I put some lipstick on.
That helped with the horizontal? No, with the vertical. Yeah.
I thought so, and it's an experiment. So I thought when I topple over, it would be ridiculous with lipstick on. So I have to make up for my makeup. Okay, and yeah, what I can tell you, it's special this early in the morning, because now I can tell about my dream. And I saw a document, and it was called Hope Will. I only saw this word, Hope Will. And then in the morning, when I was waking up, I thought, wow, that's a funny one to write my hope will. So when I leave the earth, or maybe before, I can write all that I hope, and then I leave it as a will.
That feels brand new. Never thought of that. Ever. Yeah. Never heard of it. You've just coined a new, it will be a movement. It will spread across the globe. Everybody will be doing hope wills. What a lovely thought.
And when I start writing it was about air. I will leave clean air. I will hope for clean air. And then I only just started to think about, to imagine about all the people with asthma, with OCD, can walk out the door and start to breathe and to fill the lungs up with clean air. Okay, and this is my 9 o'clock on a Friday morning contribution.
Do you think we should wrap? No. So, okay, done.
Yes. So you said it's well, wow. This can become a world movement. So within 3 seconds we are there. So ready.
Mission accomplished. But it's interesting with hope. I have a very fond relationship with hope, in a way that I don't think I had if I even look back. Well, 10 years ago I didn't. And so what I think started my evolved relationship with hope is Steve Chandler, who says, who speaks about, there's an audio file, you can buy it online. It's not a podcast available, but you can buy it online. It's called Expectations versus Agreements. And it's a little bit of a story, but I'll get to hope, I promise. So he speaks about expectations being a zero-sum game. You cannot get above zero. You can get below zero. Well, I expected her to do that. You're below. Or, well, I expected her to do that, and she did. You're kind of at zero, right? So there's no, wow, she did that. There's nothing of that positive energy in it. So he says, I don't do expectations. And he and his wife, he says that they have never argued because they don't do expectations. Rather, they create agreements instead. So listening to that, I got into the habit of trying to spot my expectations on the kids, on myself, on my colleagues, on you, it's like expectations on a show. If I went to the theater, well, it was okay, but I had higher expectations. It's like, okay, why not just be thrilled at what was there, right? So I started to spot them. And then I tried to make agreements if it was an expectation that held some sense of meaning for me. If it was meaningful for me to have this thing, then I should turn it into an agreement with whoever, the expectation was about. So I experimented with that, and then I saw, and here comes the hope. Sometimes I find I have an expectation that isn't, it's not on the fast track to become an agreement. But so I say that I either upgrade expectations to agreements or to hopes. So some of them are just, oh, I'm so thrilled about this thing. I don't have to make an agreement with anybody about those things, but there's hope, not an expectation, because that's there's something heavy, it's like, oh, it's heavy and hard and to it. But hope, oh, there comes those bubbles that I love. In hope, there's bubbles. And it's like, well, I hope. But if it does or if it doesn't, well, it doesn't matter. I've still had the bubbles of the hope. So doing that has made me much more aware of the energy of hope. There's something very generous in hope, and there's something very caring in hope. But but it doesn't come with the expectations that here's something you have to act upon, it has to be, you have to work hard for it, yada, yada. It's rather just this field of potential somehow. Does that make sense at all? Or is this, we should shut this down because 9:00 Friday morning is not my best?
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really building on. Yeah. And what pops up is I heard it saying, a coach told me, and I believe in it, that the basis of a coaching triad is hope. Is hope from the client. And we aren't aware, but if it's not there, you can coach till whatever.
And nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen, because I know also about a writer or another, a therapist is talking about false hope.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a funny thing. Probably there is something, let's say there is a sunny side and a shadow side in one ball of hope. Now, what you say, you have to define it, because you can't start with only expecting things from other people and not expressing them. And that part is for me imagined by those programs on TV. One is called Marry at First Sight. If you want to see expectation without letting them grow into a contract between them.
Yeah.
It's so the woman is stepping into this with so much whatever, and so you see it coming. And the other part of hope is, for me, it's so beautiful. It's what you're talking about. We can't. There is also probably, there is purity in it, and a kind of naivete, and it's strong. It's strong. People in dire situations without hope, I guess they die.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see if I wonder if I have. I did have Hope in the Dark by Rebecca Solnit is also a wonderful book on hope. And I've been writing. I have probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 pieces on my blog that I've written inspired by some a quote or a passage from this book. And it's so just page 12, I stumble upon this, which says the revolutionary Brazilian educator Paulo Freire wrote a sequel to his famous Pedagogy of the Oppressed called Pedagogy of Hope. And in it he declares, without a minimum of hope, we cannot so much as start the struggle. But without the struggle, hope dissipates, loses its bearings, and turns into hopelessness. And hopelessness can turn into tragic despair. Hence the need for a kind of education in hope.
Oh, wow, this is lovely.
This is lovely. And I would say I'm not too fond of the struggle part of it because it's so I equate struggle with fight, and I equate fight with what I did for so much of my life, which was fight within me fighting me on the inside. And when I learned not to do that, when I learned how to do gentle, that's when I really started to, blossom or whatever you want to call it. But it's like it's a lovely little book. And it's filled with examples of hope where, in the, like you say, in the most dark situation, in dire straits, there's these little seeds or lights of hope that just transform a lot of these situations.
Yeah, and also the sunny side hope that you carry it all day through, and we aren't aware of it. It's such a substantial part of our ability to walk straight. And I'm wondering, now we're talking about it, what is your hope? What are you hoping for?
I would say that I hope to continue with the learning, the living, the loving, I so love living life as me. And I hope that will continue. And it's like, it feels like, I was gonna say cheese, that ripens and gets just better, but then they get kind of smelly, and I don't know if that kind of brings up the right connotations. But this thing where, it just gets better. And so it's like I hope to be able to continue living and loving and learning, because I so enjoy it. It is so rich. And it's not that I hope for an easy life. That's not it at all. It's like I hope for life. And it's ups and it's downs and it's twistings, and it's all of that. And ooh, the richness of that. Yeah. What else do I hope for? I hope, this is a big hope. So I hope that there will be a mindset shift, a shift in world views, it might even be, where I hope the culture that we live in, you, me, and almost everybody else who listens or who is on the planet for that matter, not just the few people listening to this, but everybody. We're in a culture where we believe, or the culture tells us, we are the pinnacle of creation and we are above the laws of nature. I hope that we see that that is a dead end culture that we've been playing at for the past 10,000, 12,000 years, and that humanity or humanoids before that spent hundreds of thousands and possibly millions of years in a worldview that said we are a part of nature because we are a part of nature and we are not above the laws of nature. So that's a hope. Yeah.
If it comes true, let's say right now it's like that. You live in this world. What would change for you in your daily life?
I think it's summed up quite well in the saying that my friend Dominic has. He says, we're busy with the management of lack rather than the distribution of abundance. And I think that sums it up. And maybe somebody goes, what you mean? What? But it's like, there is food all around us. You know, basically wherever you live on the planet, there is food around us. But our modern culture has you know, it's a ruse, but the ruse is like complete and we all believe it and play along with it, which is that food is scarce and you have to go buy it in a store. It's locked up. It belongs to somebody else until I can buy it. You know, so it's like, and there are those who don't have enough and there are those who have too much and then they throw it away. You know, it's like all of that instead of it's there. You know, it's out there. It's here. It's not even there. It's here. So there's I think that's, and that would mean a sense of trust that I see lacking in today's society, where people don't trust that they will be cared for, that there will be enough, that, you know, there's enough money, there's enough food, there's enough clothes, there's enough whatever it is, but rather live in a world where you just know that there is. You know that we all help each other and it will be fine. Not easy, again, right? But fine. If I have food and you don't, I'll share. If you have food and I don't, you'll share. Good. If we don't have food, well, then we won't eat.
You're sharing the word. What pops up is abundance. Abundance. Helena, living in an abundance world. It's flowing. It's an easy flowing of more of yourself in a world full of abundance. Beautiful. I love to share mine.
I was going to ask you, so please do.
Yes. What came up is the word intimacy. Hope for intimacy, and again, that not as a scarce commodity, or it is now. It's right now for me, what I see and pick up, it lives close to its neighbor, sex. So it has its own place. And for me, I would love this kind of world where I can be intimate with anyone, walking on a street and talking with someone, and I can be intimate, real intimate. So there are no masks, and there is a lot of trust and vulnerability in the talks. And now I imagine boardrooms with men and women intimate together. I love that idea. And everyone is able to be intimate with oneself. That's the starting point.
Mm. So what does intimacy mean for you? What is it that you see? Because I can, if somebody were to listen to just a sentence of this, every, men and women in a boardroom being intimate with another, they're getting a lot of weird pictures, I'm guessing. Right?
Yeah, but that's what I mean, the contamination. It's linked to your longing, or to your hope of being fully you.
Mm.
So two people connecting with, communicating with one another, who are pure and fully themselves. So it's one of my stories. I made it up. And so when you're a baby, you come from a world that's so pure, and then the longer you're here, you create an identity, you need an identity. But it's also, you create a defense and a mask. And long story short, then you start to use your mask to communicate with. So then you meet another one that's doing the same. So then you have two people, but two masks communicating. And then, oh yeah, this is for real, this is for real. But we forget that there is something else, let's call it, give it a label of the soul. So that's soul communications. That's intimacy. So in it is so much. To be intimate with someone is laying down your weapons, trusting, courage. It's bearing, and it's not bearing the body, but it's bearing the soul. It yeah. I love it so much. the vulnerability, so I can talk about what's going on inside without shame, guilt, those things. I can say it, and I know in a context of intimacy, the other one will listen, not judging, trusting, supporting. So if I'm talking about it like this, can you follow it?
Yeah. And I would say that it's not necessary, I can share something with you when we are being intimate that does make me feel shame or guilt or anything, but I still share it. Right? So that I don't, it's that kind of not holding back, not shying away from. It's like, it's here, all of it is here. It makes me think of Martin Buber. Have you read his work?
I know of him, but I can't
I
remember.
think you would really, really love that book. So it's a book that in Swedish is called Det mellanmänskliga, which is just an amazing, again, Swedish word construct. It means that which is in between humans. So it's you and it's me, and in between we create. There's a creation there. I don't know what it's called in English but I know it's there. And hearing you speak about intimacy is that there's you and there's me, and there's thing in between us that we create because it's you and it's me, and that this thing in between, the quality or the richness or the juiciness or maybe the size of that is determined by our level of intimacy, our level of how much of me am I showing. Do I hold back? If I'm behind many masks, my piece into this in between us is stunted and diminished and not very, there's no movement. Whereas if I've taken away those masks, that thing of me that I put on the table for the us to be created from can be, whoa, which makes me think. So this sounds weird, but strongest energy wins, right? So if I'm very masked and I have a strong energy emanating from me, chances are people around me will immediately put up their masks and just play along with that game, right? And then the in-between creations, the us's, will be like severely stunted because they can't be anything else. So if I am deliberately saying, mask off, and that energy is the strongest in a room, what happens then when more people start to, at least open up their mask and peek out from between them or behind them? The the quality of the us in between us can be much more rich. So, which then, would that then mean that I can invite intimacy by how I am, how I show up in the world?
Yes, that's you and I, we are the starting place. We are the source of intimacy. So this is a nice word. This is so lovely. The word comes up as invitator. So through the day, you have numerous moments where you can invite it inside of yourself, but also for the other one. And it's not waiting your turn or something, or the other one will do it. No, it's up to me. And there are, you already talked about certain things like expectations and this one, projections. They are killing. But for me, the word now is when met by projections or by angriness, hallelujah, to stay open. For me, that's the work.
Yes.
And to have my boundaries clear. I don't need to be abused or something. I can be clear, open, and intimate about the effect of the behavior of the other one. But this is my place where I have the same eagerness like you. You were talking so beautifully about life and being you, so fully you. And this is my play garden, difficult, and it's a portal. It's a portal to freedom or something, not being defined any longer by other people. Becoming small because someone else has an opinion or is angry at me.
And there's such a level of openness to this as well. So I'm just imagining or remembering instances where I'm sitting on a bus, not corona times, but pre-corona times. And there's a little child in a pram, and their big eyes looking around, and they meet my eyes. And I don't, not always, but a lot of the times, I very deliberately, with great intention, I wink,
Yeah.
I wave, I smile, kind of just opening that door. Just it's like bringing me into this potential us. It's momentary, it's fleeting. I might never see this kid again. And I don't just do it for kids for that matter. I don't wink at people, maybe, but I smile. I try to smile or nod with everybody that I meet. That, it's like I do it when I'm walking in the recreational area or in town, or when I'm standing in line for the bus. I nod and I kind of, because I haven't thought about that, but it's kind of it is an invitation, right? To
And
just
to
feel
share.
this connection, to feel this, oh, here's a person. I'm seen by somebody. So I send the invitation by seeing, and many people, when they are seen, then give that back to me as an invitation to see me too. And it's just, it's like little, it's like you take a little, you walk outside and there's one wild strawberry that's just the ripest, and you just pick it and then you move on, right? It's like just that little spark of intimacy, because that's what it is.
Beautiful, beautiful. It helps me to realize to it's a dusting off. They're so used to put on a protective screen, or how do you call it, instead of opening the door. That's you use that term, and it's a lovely image. Opening the door and walking into the world, showing yourself and inviting to intimacy. Beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that you're right that for that to remain pure, or to remain, or maybe to be of service to you and others, like you said about the boundaries, is important. It's like there has to be discernment there, so that if I come across someone who doesn't reciprocate in kind by, okay, here I am showing, but rather just want to grab me or my energy, or it's like because there's a hole in them and they're trying to fill it, or whatever it might be. It's like discernment is also of vital importance, so that it kind of, so that the potential hope held within this can be, free to do its work, to bubble up places, right? Rather than somebody hogging me, and then I'm giving and giving and giving to someone, where it will kind of end if it stops there. If that's a container without holes in it so that nothing comes out, it's like I need to be discerning enough to see that and to say, okay, this wasn't the place. Bye. And kind of take myself out of that position or situation, and move on. And not, like you said, like not use that as, oh, there you go. You can't be intimate. You must not. Or, man, I'm an idiot for doing that. I fell for it, yada, yada, yada. You know, it's like not that, but rather, so you don't fall into the automatic pattern of, okay, mask on. But rather, oh, that was an interesting experience. You know, what can I learn from this? How can I make sure that maybe maybe I pick up on it sooner next time? Or, what's the learning here for me? Maybe I can learn to be more discerning, so that you help yourself to grow in it rather than go, which is easy, go scared and then, oh, no, that didn't work. I must not. It's like, no, not that. Please, not that.
I feel a flow in that. So you probably you become more sensitive, and then you know when to stay or when to leave.
Yes.
And it's okay. It's nothing wrong. It's okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lovely world.
Yeah. So this world that you hope for, the world of abundant intimacy, to connect the two,
Yes.
can you live it now?
Oh, wow. This is reckoning time. I know I'm good at intimacy in the sense of opening up, even bearing my soul and being vulnerable. I'm used to that. Maybe from how can I call it? Feeling small and feeling a victim, being codependent. Um, I can't explain it properly, but there is probably I've been in a situation where I had nothing else to lose. So I like it and I long for it, for connection, for deep connection. So, and one element of that is intimacy. So I have the ingredients for it, and I love when I meet someone to play together in that field. And I can also feel layers in it. So I'm for sure not at the deepest level. Maybe in my view, I'm only scratching the surface, where I have an image, me ripping clothes and offering my breast, my front, and and now what comes up is conditional. I'm I'm still in several situations conditional. And that's also a difficult one for intimacy. And where I become judgmental and start to talk about the world as if I'm not a part of it. And then I come into the story about me and them. And then there is a bad world where people do things I really can't understand. So painful, and it's an evil. And then I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to be part of it. So, and then I'm far, far away from intimacy. I guess when you are intimacy, there is also a huge willingness to see what is.
Mm.
And that's difficult. So there is always the temptation to, and now it comes to expectations, and to try to make it a bit like you want it to be. Say it again. Now I lost my track. Ask your question again.
So my question is maybe not phrased the same way, but in this world of greater intimacy, can you already live it? Can you live it now?
I can live it in intimate situations. When I have someone in front of me, I'm good in one-on-one situations. But I can't live it in when we call it a world in larger. I hide, and there are still situations where I'm in hiding.
But is it a can't, or is it a won't or a don't?
That's too difficult for me. I'm not sure about the difference in those words. I know I can. So then I pull myself back before I'm in the situation. So I'm already harnessed.
Mm.
So and therefore your first image about how you love it to live life and to live your life as me, as Helena. And here this one links to go out in the street and be open without masks or protection, or to say, hi life, I'm here another day, let's play.
And it's like, it's like I look at my bonus grandkids, the youngest of like, 3, 2, 3, well, something there. 2, maybe. And I go, that's what tiny kids do. Hi, life. I'm here. Let's play. Right? So it's, again, it's like you say, that's also a dusting off, or maybe, you need to rummage down in the basement because it's in a box way down in the basement, far behind everything else. It's like, that's where it is, but it is in you. It is in us. We have it.
Yeah, for me, it's the other way around. The image pops up. When you're a child, you like to pretend, and you dive into a princess, a fireman, whatever, pilot. But this one is, you don't need a trunk with clothes. It's the other way around. It's
take it off.
As a woman, for me, there is a moment where you need to be willing to shed your princess dress, for instance. You can't stay a princess. This is one I'm sensitive to. You really have to step into your queendom and become aware of your own crown, what you're talking about in your first time when you abandoned Helena, that's taking your queen crown. So there are several. For me, really, really unwilling to shed my victim clothes. No. I want to keep. So there are several, probably. I'm there is a bad man and I'm a bad woman with my cape, and I want to save the world. I can't save the world, by the way. That's also something I need to pull it off and let it go and put it in the trunk or wherever. So it's another children's trunk. You don't take it out. You.
And it's. I mean, those costumes. I mean, if you've worn them for a long time, man, they're comfortable, right?
Yes.
You feel so at ease in it. You know how you'll be perceived. You'll know how you are to show up. You know who will indulge you and who won't, and you forget about the ones who won't. You don't even try, and you just, you revel in the misery together with the others, or whatever it is that that is the environs of that costumed character. And I'm guessing just becoming aware of that. This is a costume. This is not me. This is a costume that I've put myself in, or that we have put myself in. It's like I'm helped along by society and norms and family and friends and systems, school systems, and all of that. We're all kind of helping each other get into these costume. And I went for a walk and talk with a man who was telling me about his wetsuit. And he had a very special wetsuit, which was kind of, because there's wetsuits, which means that you get wet. You have a thick layer, and then there's water being able to come in. And then there's dry suits, where you have it's like a very tight, it's very hard to get it here. It's tight, and it's tight around your hands and your feet, so that you have the layer, and then there's air, so you're not getting wet, right? And he said he had something in between, so it was kind of a wetsuit, but it didn't allow in the water, I think. But he said you have to put on soap or oil or something to even be able to pull into this costume, right? And some of those costumes are frigging hard to get into, and they can be hard to get out of too, right? You might need help. You might need assisting. Could somebody unzip me? Could you help pull it off me, right? But when you do, it's like, yeah, there will be, skin not used to the sun or the air, or am I strong enough without this kind of exoskeleton that I've been in? So yeah, you need to be very careful and gentle with yourself and not exert yourself thinking that it will be as if I'm wearing my costume. No, it isn't. It's like, you've ripped off that Band-Aid. There's tender skin there. But the rewards, to feel the sun, to feel the air, just to be able to stand on my own without this thing helping me, propping me up. Guess who's outside my window right now?
Say it again.
Guess who's outside my window right now?
Could there be an orange cat?
No, 2 squirrels in the tree, playing, running around, jumping, having fun, just simply being, no costumes, nowhere near costumes. They just are. They're a lovely distraction. Because they do remind me of that. They do. They're a reminder of that. I've had a blackbird hatching eggs, building a nest and hatching eggs in one of my little garden sheds. And for the past 3-4 days, the little baby birds are gone. But for the week before that, there was this one baby bird that was, kind of getting big and burly, but still very baby birdie. And it's a garden shed with a door where there's like these slats, you could call it. It's like pieces of wood, so air comes in, and a few of those have come off, so it's a bigger space so that mama bird can fly in and out. But that is at the top half of the door, so the bottom half of the door is solid, right? And I don't dare keep that door open for fear of the orange cat, so I've been, and I have my garden tools in there, so I've been opening throughout this past 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is since I saw her nesting. It's like you see mama bird lying there nesting her egg or on her eggs, and it's like she looks at me and she freezes. She's dead still. It's like if I don't move, she doesn't see me, right? And I go, I don't see you. It's fine. It's cool. And I gently take out my garden gloves or the little shovel or whatever. But these last few days, I've been opening and down on, there's it's a garden shed. It's not ordered. It's a mess in there. So on top of the things piled on the floor, there's been this little baby chick. And he's been looking at me like, what are you doing?
Oh,
I'm opening this and I'm doing it carefully because I know that. And he's going, you're messing with me now. Close the door again. And it's been so funny. So I took a picture of him or her. And she just, she looks like a disgruntled teen. Kind of, don't you come here and mess with my stuff. So I've been and very gently closing it. And now for the past few days, it's gone. So
oh.
it's like, oh, I'm hoping it flew away and we'll live a long and happy life.
So we're ending with hope again.
Yes, and so here, thank you, because this is the thing. The thing is then, they are the little baby blackbird. It just is. It's being a baby blackbird. It just does what baby blackbirds do. And that, for me, is a reminder to do that which humans do, but more specifically, to do that which is Helena to do.
Yes.
Just be me. That's sufficient. And Mayke, you just do you. And everybody else, you just do you. It's like, ooh.
Do you. And once in a while, be intimate with one another.
As often as opportunity beckons, and it does beckon a lot. It isn't hard to do.
No.
It's there. But you're right. If you're afraid to be intimate with yourself, being intimate with someone else is probably a really scary thing.
It's not even possible.
No.
Thank you, me darling. It's always a treat. I love it so much. I start to laugh. I like it.
Yeah. And your lipstick worked. You're still sitting up.
Yes. I was. Yeah.
Yeah. I love speaking with you, Mayke, because there's such a great sense of listening in you. And not just listening to me, but listening. It's like, so you listen and then something comes. And so you're an astute listener. And I it's like, it's one of those, I just never know what you'll come up with, what it is that you're finding in your listening. There comes, something that always just brings, it's like little doors, that too, isn't it? Enabling you to step into the next universe or experience or meander of the river.
Yeah, it's so funny. Now you are over there, and then you formulate words about me. And then I'm amazed. Wow, me, a listener. I'm so talkative. But okay, so it comes to me, and then I realize I'm born as a listener in this conversation. It's a relationship thingy. I'm not a listener into my own. So black and white saying is, you made me a listener. And I love that relational part.
It's in the us.
Yes. And I was also wondering, so there is still a bit of a worry. What will we talk about the coming conversation? And then a fleeting thought, how is she doing this? How is she doing this? But she is doing it every time.
So I think this is perfect, right? Because this is Martin Buber and the mellanmänskliga, right? Because it's like I'm not doing it, but I'm here. Mask off. I'm here. There you are. Mask off. You're there. What will we create between us? This is what we created this time. Last time it was something else. When it's me and Frank, something else is created.
So thank you for that, for the platform, for the container. You are the initiator of that. It's important, and I'm really grateful for that. What you're doing in being full bloom Helena.
It's fun. It is fun.
It sure is.
And it's so interesting because you're right. The sort of the platform of this is created by me and Caspian, who helps sort of with the practical stuff. But I don't have. It's like I come onto this as blank as you, going, I wonder what we'll talk about today, not. And I so love doing that. I so like, it's like, here's this thing between us and, we start to water and something comes and every time it's something different. And just kind of, pressing record and we're on, that's kind of the watering hose. And then who knows, maybe sometime there will be nothing. Okay, then there's nothing, right?
Yes.
And it turns out the way it turns out. It's some type of organic way of looking at this. There is no agenda. There's no goal to reach. There's no where to there's no finishing line. Like we have to go there, this route. There's not a fixed, you have to like a slalom, skiing, it's like, no, it's not like that. It's like, well, show up and you water it and see what happens and where you end up. And I love being able to play with this, and I love being able to play with it with 5 different people, because so many different things come up in the different, like, because I'm me, and then the you is different, right? So it is a lovely play garden, to use your term. It is a lovely play garden. It's like, I just never know what kind of thing will grow this time. But so far, I've been in awe every time at just that creation that comes. So thank you for indulging me in this experiment. It's great fun.
What I like in it is the trust. Something, if I would have been invited earlier in my life, probably I wouldn't have dared.
No.
What? Coming together and there is no agenda and before we don't know what we talk like that. And now it's a moving towards, it's a trusting.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of silence when it stops, when you can feel that now it and there it goes on the floor. And for me, it can lay down. Okay, you see, and maybe it will come up, maybe not, and that's okay as well. And that feels that's rich.
Yeah.
That's rich.
Yeah. Yeah. And that reminds me, when you were saying you were baring your breast and your front and like going, showing your throat, it's like, that is the ultimate sign of trust, right? Like, I'm baring my throat and my torso, which is, if you want to severely harm a creature, built like this, these are the parts that, very easily I could kill you. So it's like, it's complete trust. It's complete trust. And it's just, wow. Being in the presence of that complete trust is just, right? Because again, it makes me go, I can do that too. Thank you, Mayke, for today.
Thank you, Helena. It was
hope
a real pleasure.
It was a real pleasure. And I hope that you make a great day. Yes, I hope you make a great day. Today in Sweden is Midsummer's Eve. It's the 25th of June, so it's Midsummer Eve today, even though the solstice was in the beginning of the week.
So you have a solstice morning, and now you have a solstice eve.
Well, yeah, I don't really know how we were. I know that midsummer used to be on the day of the solstice, but labor law made them always say it would be on whatever Friday of this June it would be, so that they know that it's just one day off for the laborers. If it varies the way that the solstice varies, it might be 2, and the employers don't want that.
So it's the same as the solstice, but organized by humans. No, we want it not the 21st. We make it. It's as if it's the same. But okay, yeah.
There you go.
It's so funny, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's like, neatly. We want it ordered. We want to be in control. Let's just do that. We can't actually make the solstice happen on this Friday that we always wanted to be. But if we don't speak about that, we just speak about midsummer, then everybody will be chill because they will be duped. or something. I don't know.
So I hope you have a very good solstice evening.
I will, my
Enjoy
friend.
it.